Today I'm going to show you how to create anything you want with this one business model. Welcome to your Consulting Business Podcast. My name is Russell Pearson and this is episode number 47. Today on the podcast I want to talk about selling the invisible, which is what we need to do as consultants and advisors, because the outcomes that we create for people are in the future. And the things that they're dealing with right now are in front of them, sure. But what we're actually helping people do is achieve these outcomes, which means that we're actually unable to package up and develop something that they can buy sight unseen. So they're buying it sight unseen. And that can, for some people, be a challenging process. So I want to talk today about two things. Number one is, with a consulting business model, you literally have the keys to create anything you want. What you're trying to create through your process is, yes, a business that you love, but you're also trying to create outcomes and actually solve problems for individuals. Now, how you go about solving those problems and how you go about creating those outcomes is completely up to you as the consultant or advisor, right? So some advisors decide that they don't want to get involved with the actual process of delivery, and that's absolutely fine because that's called advice. There are other advisors who want to give advice, but they also want to get their hands dirty and get involved in things. There are consultants who will just do work where they give a written report. There are others that will do workshops. There are others that will develop programs. And so it's completely up to you how you go about developing your product list or your service list in your business. And that's a great opportunity with having a consulting business, is that you can actually change and evolve it over time. It doesn't have to be locked into systems and processes that sort of stop enabling you from developing and evolving further. And I think it is probably one of the best business models to be able to do that. Now, if you're running your own business, sure, you can absolutely change it and you can move it in different ways, but usually there's an expectation with the current clients that you are going to continue service ongoing. With the consulting model, ideally a successful consulting model should have a finish date. It should actually be achieving an outcome, otherwise you just become an employee. So you've got this great access to opportunities. To give you an example, like even in my own business. Now I moved away from a service business, we had an agency, and the agency would deliver ongoing, and it would have a service level and an expectation level of how we would go about delivering. Now, I added consulting to the work that we did and ended up selling the production side of the business, because the consulting side of the business is what I really enjoyed. And the consulting side of the business was just me. It meant I got to be creative. I got to say, well, this is how I want to deliver this thing. And to give you some examples, I really like running workshops. I don't really like giving written strategies. And so I have gone and developed all sorts of public and private workshops to enable people to achieve their outcomes, or at least identify the steps to achieve those outcomes. Different things for different people. Some people want you to help them develop a strategy. Some people want you to help them work through the process of actually getting to where they're going. So it's actually tactical, a lot of that tactical sort of work. So I've then gone on and I've actually developed the Forge Business Program. Now that's for consultants. It could be for consultants like yourself, but it's for really smart individuals who are incredibly knowledgeable at what they do. And so it's not my job to help them as a mentor, a consultant, and a coach to learn more about how they do what they do. But it is my job to simplify how they go about communicating what they do to their clients so they can actually win more clients a lot easier. It's also my job to support them when they actually run into roadblocks. It's also my job to help them reframe some of the things that are happening in their business. But it is my job in those areas because I've chosen that that's the role that I want to play. And so for the number of years, we've been running this program called The Forge. And just so you know what that's all about, The Forge comes from my love of blacksmithing. All right, so I'm an amateur blacksmith. People ask me what I make, and it's a whole bunch of mistakes. That's what I do on a daily basis. I do work in here, and then I go and do work out there in the forge. And so I've fallen in love with the process of blacksmithing and actually realized that what I'm doing in blacksmithing is taking steel, simple steel, and actually helping to transform it into something strong and long-lasting. And that analogy plays really, really nicely into the business mentoring, business consulting work that I do in my own business. So I've been able to take that analogy and actually bring it into my business. You know, If I was working for someone else, or if I was working within a paradigm of someone else's, I wouldn't be able to bring that sort of creativity or really the love for something I have outside the business into the business to actually make it more enjoyable. But as a consultant, you do have that ability. You can bring in the things that you love to do. I know of many consultants, when they're looking at putting on, let's say, client days, they'll go, let's do something that they enjoy doing. And often they'll attract people more that way. So to give you an example, there are some people who are really into the Formula One racing. And so every year they'll bring a bunch of clients together and they'll go to the Formula One racing. I've seen the same thing in horse racing. I've seen the same thing in golf, a wine tasting. There's so many things that you can do. But as the consultant, you get to choose the structure of how that works. Now, I still do consulting because I choose to still do that sort of work. I enjoy the process. And I actually also do a little bit of advisory on the side, more of a pro bono type thing, but I get to help people who are just starting their business really to get a sense of what's happening out there in the market. Because sometimes when you're running your own programs, you can get very insular. And you stop number one, you can start believing your own nonsense. Number two is you don't get a sense of what's actually happening out there in the world. So if you do look to create a program or create a space that you bring clients into, my recommendation is to have some way of actually going out into the world and remembering what it's all about and actually listen to the conversations. And that's not, reading the newspaper or staying on top of the news, because that conversation is really distorted. Yeah, we get that distorted view from the media. So how do we talk to real people, real individuals who are our prospects and our clients to get a sense of what's going on in their life? So you can choose. You can choose to have programs. You can choose to do one-on-one consulting or one-on-one coaching. You can choose to go and actually get a contract and work inside an organization. And a lot of people like that structure. They like the structure of being able to bring that in. That often means that they're usually doing some form of hourly or day rate, which means that they'll never really be able to achieve the same sort of high value opportunities from creating something completely new. But I just want to point out that you have that opportunity. You can actually design whatever you like. A client actually thought it was quite funny the other day when she was engaging in one of my programs to say, you're just creating this stuff. It was almost like you're making it up on the spot. Now, I'm not. There's 27 years of experience and design that goes into creating any of these programs. But I am deciding what my audience, my market, the people that I'm working with need at any one point. I'll say, you know what? They actually need something here on time management. I'm gonna design something useful on time management, because then I can help people with that initial program, but then I can bring it back into the Forge and I can actually give it to my ongoing clients. And that's the great thing about having this sort of world that I've created, is that everybody who's a member of the Forge actually gets access to all the different materials that we have, which means they're continually getting evolving programs. And so it's useful for me because I'm an evolving individual. I'm continuing to develop what I'm doing so that I can stay on top of what's happening out there, but also increase my effectiveness. I get better with every program that I put on. But being able to actually deliver that for clients that are in a retainer style relationship or an ongoing relationship with me is very, very valuable, and it's valuable to them. Yeah. And so on one side, you can do anything you want, which is great. It's a blank canvas opportunity. Blank canvases sometimes can be challenging. And there are a number of people out there that prefer not to have a blank canvas. And for those people, you may want to partner with other consultants. You may also want to potentially purchase or license frameworks that you might want to use in your consulting business. But the choice is completely up to you. I like being able to actually look at a blank canvas and say, all right, put the blank canvas to the side. Let me look at the people that I'm working with right now and say, what do they need? What is the trend that's actually happening in the market? Not just a topical trend like AI, but what do the individuals need from what's missing? What is the gap from them that I haven't actually, I haven't bridged yet? And so that's the great opportunity, I think, of having a consulting business, is you can do whatever you like. Now, selling the invisible on the other side is very much that. It's how do we go about creating something that that people can feel confident in selecting. And I see a lot of business owners, be them consultants or any type of a business owner, especially the entrepreneurial and startup crew, they will go about being told to productize. And what they end up doing is they create a product. They might spend 18 months to 2 years creating a product without actually working out what the market wants. And so then they'll spend the next 2 years trying to find a market for the product that they want. And that came off the back of that old advice, which is to find a need and fill it. My suggestion is to, instead of finding a need and fill it, actually find something that someone wants and give it to them. Yeah, and so that's the opportunity with selling the invisible. What do people want, and where do they want to go? And so, if you can help them visualize a future that is better than the current state that they're in, then you're going to be able to visualize that with them. And I just said visualize twice, but the point is, it's no longer invisible. It is quite tangible and visible for them. See, they're living currently in some symptomatic scenario. Now, they might not know what the cause of the issue is. They might not know what the actual problem is, so they might not be problem aware, but they believe they're problem aware because they're suffering from some sort of symptom. That symptomatic issue, whether they can see it or not, is very real for them. And so you can use that as a really tangible starting point, enabling you to create a visualization of where they're going to go. So we get very clear about their reality, what's happening in their reality, and then we get clear about what they would like instead. Now, what's useful about this and what's simple about this is that you can actually take a symptom, very much like a coin, right? So if we took at one side of a coin and we go, this is the symptomatic side, this is the symptomatic side, and we flip it over, it's usually the opposite, which is the outcome they want instead. If I was to suggest that my symptom was I have a pain in my leg, then I want to be pain-free, yeah? Or I don't have enough clients right now, I want to have enough clients, or even more than enough clients, so I can audition them. You know, this is how we actually go about crafting and creating these offers, is to get a real sense of where people are, what is real in their situation, what's tangible, what can they feel, potentially see and touch. But it's what is real for them. And then we say, what do they want? And then if we can start to paint that picture effectively, if we can start to say, well, when you are pain-free, what are you going to be able to do? Well, I'm going to be able to run again. Now they're picturing themselves running again. Now this is an analogy. Most of us are working in big corporate contracts and consulting contracts, but even within the procurement process of that, we need to be able to visualize with the client into what their reality tangibly would look like. Usually in a consulting situation where there is failure, it's because someone has come into an organization and not really understood the organization. So they've come in, they've guessed at the problem or the symptom that's happening, and they've told people what they should be doing instead of getting very clear with the client what is the thing that they're experiencing, hearing them, understanding what's real and tangible for them, finding out where they want to go, and then working with them and collaborating with them to help them visualize what it would look like if it's different. You know, there's a colleague of mine that does this in an incredibly good way. His engagement, the start of any of his engagements, is to actually do a survey with a large organization. And in fact, he's paid for the research component. So he'll come in and do this survey. And as part of the survey, he'll identify what are the issues inside the organization and then ask the frontline people and people throughout the business, how much could this be improved? How much better would it be if it was improved? He then takes that information, collates it together, does a presentation on it to the entire business. And it's using their words to actually show them what is possible. And then he says, now, you're saying that there's 60% improvement here, which means billions of dollars for your organization. What if we just had 5% improvement or 10% improvement? You know, that's still hundreds of millions of dollars. Like, would that be worth doing? And the answer is almost always yes. And so the process of actually creating visualization can be done in so many different ways, but is key for you to be getting buy-in for you and the services that you're delivering in the consulting space. Now, if you are interested in actually talking to me about how you could be working on your strategy or how you could be supported through something like The Forge, I'm more than happy to talk to you about it. I'm easy to find. You're here. You found me, right? But what I would love to hear from you is, what would you like to be doing in the future of your business? Okay, so you know where you are right now, right? You've got a sense of where you want to go. Let's take that one step further. If you get there, what does it look like for you? If you're able to hit that financial goal, if you're able to hit that client number, what would that mean for you in your life? What would it enable you to do? I'd love you to leave a comment to let me know what reaching that goal would mean for you in your situation. Now, I don't have a book recommendation today. I've got another guest coming up very shortly, and we'll do a book recommendation then. But I'd love you to leave a comment and let me know. Also, what are some things that you'd be interested in hearing about? I've got some potential guests I can reach out to. And so if there's either guests you want me to reach out to or specific topics you'd like me to touch on, I am more than happy to work with you to make it happen. Until next time, my name's Russell Pearson. Stay passionate, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye for now.